The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. The Health Department sees a continuous rise in COVID-19 cases. In today's Laging Handa briefing, Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere noted that Metro Manila may record additional 66,000 cases by August 30, and active infections could reach 269,000 by September 30 under MECQ. But she later on eased the numbers, saying that these are just projections, that they could be lower if the country could improve on its COVID-19 response.
Ang ipinapasok po sa projections, mga assumptions. Yung assumptions po natin dito, kung atin pong mai-improve ang ating vaccination, kung atin pong mai-improve ang ating case detection to isolation, at saka yung ating compliance to minimum public health standards beyond dun sa pinasok natin, dun sa assumptions natin, ay maipapababa pa ho natin ito.
Likewise, Vergere maintained that the government continues to address new developments in the crisis. She noted that they have been talking with the IATF towards re-strategizing on how to handle the current spread of cases.
We were able to present already sa ating IATF for these past two meetings, ito pong ating re-strategizing para po mas magkaroon tayo ng pag-control dito sa pagtaas ng mga kaso. So ito na lang po ang inaantay natin, konting analysis pa ho at saka konting protocols na kailangang isama dyan para po magkaroon na ng final approval from the IATF.
The Health Department believes that the Delta variant may already be spreading at the community level. That's based on samples and results from the Philippine Genome Center. Let's talk more about this with Dr. Ron-Jean Solante. He is head of adult infectious disease at the San Lazaro Hospital in Manila. Dr. Ron-Jean, magandang hapon po.
Good afternoon, Riza.
Doc, first off, do you think we already have a community transmission of the Delta variant that's based, of course, on available data?
Yeah, definitely. When we had that increase in the cases, that was a week ago, and the trend was really a drastic and significant increase. That in itself is already a characteristic of the Delta variant. And I think a lot of us know that although the samples that were sequenced by the Philippine Genome Center from August 11 to 12 were only like 373 for each of those days, but more than 100, no? So like 48% of those sequenced are the Delta variant. So just that small representations of sample sequence, when you have more than 48% of the samples are Delta variant, then we would presume that this is now the current and most likely the variant that drives the transmission in the community.
Dr. Ron-Jean would like to know the situation on the ground, at least in San Lazaro Hospital in Manila. How is the hospital holding up, and what would you like, or what do you think rather will be the implications of the Delta variant?
Yeah, so for the past 2 days, our bed capacity is almost full. We are more than 85% in our total bed capacity. And our ICU, Riza, is almost 124%. So meaning we exceeded the capacity of our ICU. And that's something that we would like to be monitoring, because when you are having 70% of patients that are admitted, severe and critical, then that's something that there is really something going on in the community. And I think the scenario here, no, if the projection is that number of cases in the next few days, the scenario here will be having lots of these more severe critical that cannot be accommodated anymore in the ICU. Some of these patients will just be intense in the emergency room, and then you will also expect higher mortality for these severe critical patients.
Doc, do you have data as to how many of your COVID-19 patients are vaccinated and the number that are not? And what are your other observations?
My first observation is we also have more younger population, no, compared to the previous surge. Second is that although the in the severe critical, the majority are still in the 60 years old and above, but we also have less than 60 years old in this mix of severe and critical. And 70% of those who are in the severe critical have received their has not received any vaccine. So that means a lot. No? That when you are vaccinated, you have more protection compared to the non-vaccinated. And for those vaccinated who develop severe and critical, these are also in the age group between 70 up to 80 years old. So these are the elderly. We know that vaccines still work, but not as much in terms of protecting them against the severe critical.
Dr. Sanante would like to get your reaction to the shift of Metro Manila and other hotspots to MECQ. Are the lockdowns still helpful on surges at this point?
I was observing during the time when we have the ECQ, when we have still lots of these cases, and then when we will now be on the MECQ, I don't think there will be any difference. The more important part now is to really strengthen the implementation of the protocol, especially at the level of the LGU. We in the hospital level, we are only dependent on how the cases will be coming from the community and coming from the LGU. And in fact, the most important, really, the strategy should be focused on the community transmission.
Dr. Ronchin, how about what else could the government do, both on the national level and the LGUs, to again prevent, of course, more infections from happening?
What's still very crucial, and I think this has already been mentioned by several other experts, is to really strengthen the way we do active case finding, because when we have a very highly transmissible infection, case finding is the key to stop and slow down the transmission. When you do the case finding, you test, and then when you diagnose, you also do aggressive isolation and quarantine measures, particularly for those who are in the household, because the household transmission is really enormous at this point in time. Most of our patients have relatives or members in the household are also sick, and I think that's where the what we call this, the center of the transmission of most of these cases.
Dr. Sanante, have you received updates on the other variants, such as the Lambda variant? And are there also new studies on vaccine efficacy against these variants?
Well, for the Lambda variant, it's still considered as a variant of interest, and there is a potential that they can also decrease the efficacy or effectiveness of some vaccines, but we need more data, and we'll have to wait for the data that, like what variants of concern has been doing now, that it has reduced some of the efficacy of vaccines. That's why in some countries it has been the cause of the surge of cases, and they're now on the level of giving booster shots.
As always, thank you so much for sharing with us your time and your insights. That's Dr. Ronchin Solante. He is head of adult infectious disease at the San Lazaro Hospital in Manila.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, the Pateros local government will open its vaccination program even to non-residents. Speaking to us earlier, Pateros Mayor Miguel Ponce III said non-residents may register through a QR code. The QR code is available on Pateros LGU's official Facebook page. Now, once cleared by the Information Department that the person has yet to be inoculated, they will be scheduled for vaccination. Ponce said the municipality is nearing its vaccination target for herd immunity, so they are extending the vaccination rollout to those in other Metro Manila cities.
Now we already surpassed the 100% also of this 80% on first dose, and we are almost 60% on our second dose. That is why we decided, as a matter of fact, we already started 2 days ago, slowly accepting and admitting residents of other cities to get vaccinated in our municipality.
Now, over in Cebu City, a non-profit youth center is now under lockdown after 27 children tested positive for COVID-19. It was reported that one of the guardians in Boystown tested positive for COVID-19 last July 25. This was the reason why the 38 children was also tested for COVID-19 and 27 of them turned out infected. The Cebu City LGU said the children are asymptomatic and under regular monitoring. This comes as COVID-19 cases continue to rise in Cebu City with already over 4,800 active infections. Filipino members of the LGBTQ plus community in Afghanistan fear for their lives as the Taliban took charge of the country. Among them is Mara Carino, a transgender woman who luckily got out of Kabul in a crowded U.S. cargo plane. Jay Orense with her story.
These are the images of the Kabul International Airport in the last few days. Heart-wrenching and gut-punching. Afghan people desperately scaling the walls of the airport to secure a space in the parked planes. Even foreigners are scrambling to flee Afghanistan. But Mara Carino, a Filipina, was lucky enough to secure a flight. The warning she received came from friends who are working in different security agencies, not from her British employers who abandoned her days leading to the fall of Kabul.
Tapos nung Saturday ng morning, yung kaibigan ko from US Embassy kasi mga Pilipino, sabi nila sa akin, Mara, magpa-flight na kami ng 10 o'clock ng gabi. So natakot ako kasi US Embassy na nagsabi. Tapos sabi nung friend ko na si Grace Malorca, yung HR manager, yung director HR manager ng camp ng Heart Security, itry kong kausapin si boss ko kung pwede kang isali.
She has been working in Afghanistan for the last 16 years and being a trans woman puts her life in danger if she stays a minute longer.
Sa lahat ng bansa, alam natin, bawal po ang mga kagaya ko sa mga Muslim country. Yung mga 3 years ko siguro dito, natatakot ako. Pero kasi pag boss mo kasi is mga national, mga international, accept ka nila eh.
But now that the Taliban is in control, she has no choice but to flee. Huddled together inside an armored vehicle, they slither their way into the tension-filled streets of the capital. But just before they reach the gate of the US Embassy,
na-trap kami sa daan ng Taliban. So pumunta kami sa gate po ng US Embassy. Doon po kami pinasakay ng chopper po papuntang H. Kaya. Hindi na may open yung gate and embassy kasi nandun na yung mga naka-alert na yung mga Taliban doon sa gate. Mga tao na kasi nagkagulo na sir eh. Mga luggage namin naiwan sa daan. I-secure mo lang yung passport mo.
they were taken by a chopper to Kabul's International Airport, where the U.S. Air Force's C-130 is waiting for them. As they boarded the plane, she fears for her other Filipino friends who are still trapped in their places.
Wala po silang visa, kaya nakakatakot lang kasi ang sabi sa akin ng friend ko doon na hindi na siya nakakatulog kasi kinakatok sila ng Taliban sa every room. Tapos yung isa kong friend doon, LGBT part din siya. Pero hindi kagaya ko, siya yung parang gay lang siya. Pero ako kinakabahan.
For now, they are temporarily being sheltered at the U.S. Embassy in Doha, Qatar, as they wait for the Philippine Embassy's assistance. Reporting for News 5, Jay Orense, We Are One News.
Let's now take a quick look at today's other top stories. President Duterte has fired National Electrification Administrator Edgardo Masongsong for alleged corruption. Duterte said the Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission conducted the investigation and recommended the dismissal. Duterte added that this is a proof that his administration is trying to stop corruption during his term. Taal volcano's main crater showed vigorous upwelling that generated steam-rich plumes around 3,000 meters high earlier today. FIVOC said the volcanic smog has been experienced over the Taal region this week. This as high levels of volcanic sulfur dioxide have been continually degassed from the main crater. The Taal volcano remains under alert level 2, which warns of probable magmatic activity that may or may not lead to an eruption. And Manny Pacquiao and Yordenis Ugas both made the required weight, returning their weigh-in a day before their scheduled bout in Las Vegas, Nevada. Pacquiao weighed in at 146 pounds, while WBA welterweight champ Ugas tipped the scales right on the number of 147 pounds. Pacquiao is set to return to the ring after a 2-year absence as he looks to regain the WBA welterweight belt that he was stripped off. Now, for more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World Online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on Signal Play app. Register for a free account now, www.signalplay.com, and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.